The dawn of the 21st century marked the beginning of an extraordinary shift in the way humanity viewed space exploration. No longer were astronauts the sole pioneers of the final frontier. Now, private billionaires were stepping forward to stake their claim in the great unknown. It was a race not just for innovation or profit but for the legacy of a generation, for the chance to secure humanity's place beyond Earth. Richard Branson, Jeff Bezos, and Elon Musk, three men whose names would come to define this new age, were not only driven by the allure of space, but also by an underlying desire to conquer the impossible. They were the audacious visionaries who set their eyes on the stars, their ambitions far greater than simply launching rockets. They wanted to make space travel accessible, to lead humanity into a new era of exploration and opportunity. It wasn't always this way. Each of them, in their own way, had been shaped by early experiences that ignited the fire of possibility within them. Richard Branson, for example, didn't start out thinking of space. He was a brash young entrepreneur, constantly looking for new challenges. But from the very beginning, his ventures in the business world were about pushing boundaries. Whether it was through his Virgin Music store or Virgin Airlines, Branson always seemed to find ways to break into industries that others thought were impossible to disrupt. But his passion for space wasn't fueled solely by the love of adventure. It was driven by a profound belief in the power of human potential. Branson once said, "Space is the greatest frontier in the world. It has the power to unite the world, to make people think differently about our planet, and to show us what we are capable of achieving." This belief wasn't simply aspirational. It was the fire that drove him to found Virgin Galactic in 2004, a company dedicated to making space travel accessible to everyday people. It wasn't easy. In the early days, Virgin Galactic faced setbacks, failures, and countless challenges. Rockets exploded, engineers encountered roadblocks, and the path seemed uncertain. Yet, Branson's perseverance was unyielding. He held on to his vision, often saying that the key to success in any venture was the willingness to take risks. And risk they did. Each launch was a gamble not just for Branson but for the entire team behind Virgin Galactic. But then came the moment of triumph. On July 11, 2021, Richard Branson became the first person to fly to space aboard a commercial spacecraft he had helped create, VSS Unity. The achievement was groundbreaking, not just for Branson but for the entire world. It was a triumph of willpower, a symbol that space was no longer reserved for governments and national space agencies. Branson had made history, and with it he proved that ordinary people too could one day journey to the stars. Meanwhile, just across the continent, Jeff Bezos had his own vision for the future of space. Bezos, the founder of Amazon, had built a multi-billion-dollar empire from the ground up. His relentless focus on efficiency and customer satisfaction had revolutionized retail, but his mind always wandered to the cosmos. Space had fascinated Bezos from a young age, and after years of working tirelessly on Amazon, he decided it was time to shift his focus. In 2000, he founded Blue Origin, a company dedicated to reducing the cost of space travel and eventually making space more accessible to the masses. Bezos took a different approach than Branson. While Branson's company aimed to get people to space as quickly as possible, Bezos focused on the long-term vision, colonization. He wasn't interested in just a quick joyride. He wanted to establish a future where millions of people could live and work in space. Bezos famously said, "If we can lower the cost of getting to space, we will be able to do things in space that we can't even imagine right now." His ultimate goal wasn't just to explore space, it was to make space a part of everyday life.
Hey there, if you're enjoying the story so far, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our exciting adventures. Now let's get back to the mystery.
The journey wasn't easy. 4 years, Blue Origin was an almost invisible entity, quietly developing rockets in secret, while the world watched Branson and Musk take the spotlight. But Bezos was unbothered by the attention. He remained focused on his mission, to create reusable rockets that would dramatically reduce the cost of launching cargo and people into space. It wasn't until 2015 that Blue Origin made its first successful vertical takeoff and landing with the New Shepard rocket. It was a small victory, but it was a sign that Bezos was on the right path. Then, on July 20, 2021, the world watched in awe as Bezos himself embarked on a historic flight aboard New Shepard, becoming the second billionaire to travel to space. The moment was bittersweet. For Bezos, it was the realization of a lifelong dream, but it also underscored the fierce competition that had begun to define this new space race. His flight was short, just over 10 minutes, but it was a monumental achievement. Bezos had reached the edge of space, and in doing so, he had affirmed his place in history. However, while Branson and Bezos were making waves in the commercial space sector, Elon Musk was quietly working to revolutionize space travel with an even more audacious goal in mind: Mars. Musk, the founder of Tesla and SpaceX, was a man who didn't just want to fly to space. He wanted to make humanity a multi-planetary species. His dream was nothing short of extraordinary, and it set him on a collision course with his fellow billionaires. Musk's journey to space wasn't born from a childhood fascination like Bezos, nor was it shaped by a belief in the unifying power of space like Branson. For Musk, space was a matter of survival. He had watched the world's problems mount: climate change, resource depletion, and the threat of extinction. Musk believed that if humanity were to survive, we would need to expand beyond Earth. And so, in 2002, he founded SpaceX with the goal of reducing the cost of space travel and eventually enabling the colonization of Mars. From the very beginning, Musk's vision was clear. SpaceX would be a company that not only competed with established space agencies but would also challenge them to rethink the future of space exploration. But getting to this point wasn't easy. In its early days, SpaceX faced failure after failure. Rockets exploded, tests failed, and the company came close to running out of money. Many believed Musk was chasing a pipe dream, but Musk wasn't deterred. "When something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor," he once said. SpaceX's turning point came in 2008 when the company successfully launched its Falcon 1 rocket into orbit. It was the first privately developed liquid-fueled rocket to do so, and it marked the beginning of SpaceX's rise to prominence. Over the next decade, SpaceX would go on to develop the Falcon 9 rocket, a reusable spacecraft that would change the game for space travel. Musk's ambitious goals seemed within reach as SpaceX continued to break records and achieve milestones that others thought impossible. In 2020, SpaceX made history again when it became the first private company to send astronauts to the International Space Station. The Crew Dragon mission, carried out in partnership with NASA, was a groundbreaking achievement for Musk and SpaceX, demonstrating that private companies were no longer just participants in space exploration, they were leaders. Musk's ultimate goal, however, remained the same: Mars. As of today, SpaceX is building the Starship rocket, a fully reusable spacecraft designed to carry humans to the Moon, Mars, and beyond. Musk's vision for the future is nothing less than revolutionary. He believes that with the right technology, humanity can become a multi-planetary species, one that will thrive beyond Earth's borders. The race between Branson, Bezos, and Musk is far from over. Each of them has brought something unique to the table. Branson with his focus on space tourism, Bezos with his dream of colonization, and Musk with his audacious goal of making humanity a multi-planetary species. But in the end, it's not just about who wins, it's about what their efforts mean for humanity. These billionaires have sparked a revolution in space exploration, one that promises to change the course of history. Their journeys were marked by failure, triumph, and sheer determination. They were driven not just by the desire to be the first, but by a deeper belief that space is the key to humanity's future. As they race toward the stars, they remind us all that the impossible is possible, and that the sky is not the limit, it's just the beginning.